Part 85. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 841. 1 month later, in Piamiao Mountain, in Huansha Valley. 3 gods of fortune boys and girls with different images were playing in the valley. Of these 3 gods of fortune boys and girls, one was summoned by Xiaopingan, one was summoned by Mingrulan, and the other was summoned by Yan Duo. What Mingrulan summoned was a virgin, a little girl who was also very lively and cute, while what Yan Duo summoned was a boy with braids and a flowery belly band. After receiving the Holy Master initiation from Xiaopingan, Mingrulan and Yan Duo both perfectly integrated the Blessing God Realm Pearl, and each summoned a boy and girl with different images. At this moment, these 3 boys and girls together, like the friends who grew up together, it was extremely lively, and the only ones who could see these 3 fusion boys and girls were Xiaopingan and the others. In the pavilion in the valley, Xiaopingan, Mingrulan, and Yan Duo were sitting at the table. The table was already filled with wine and food. At this moment, Mingrulan is already at the pinnacle of the 9 Yang realm. He is only 1 step away from being a demigod and only has to merge with the 9 heavens divine spring. At this moment, Yan Duo has received the blessings of Mingrulan and Xiaopingan. Xiaopingan helped him after the initiation, Mingrulan provided him with the divine spring. At this moment, he was already a summoner in the middle stage of the 8 Yang realm, and his strength was no longer what it used to be. Because there are no more boundary beads that Yan Duo can fuse with, and the resources of the boundary beads in Xiaopingan's hands and Mingrulan's hands have been taken out, this can only be done. Yan Duo was already very satisfied. A month ago, he would not have dared to imagine that he could reach such a stage in such a short period of time and advance to the 8 Yang realm, master the secrets of the field, and become a master who can stand alone. In the future, as long as if he makes no big mistake, his advancement to the 9 Yang realm is almost certain. Xiaopingan was leaving. This was a farewell banquet for Xiaopingan, and only the 3 of them attended. For more than a month, everyone in Piamiao Mountain knew that Mingrulan was in retreat. Except for Granny Yan who came to visit occasionally, almost no one came to disturb her up and down Qiun Peak. Therefore, except for the 3 people here, other people no one knew that Mingrulan and Yan Duo were completely different from what they were before. The atmosphere in the pavilion was not exactly joyful, but even slightly solemn. Yan Duo's eyes were moving, looking at Xiaopingan and then at Mingrulan. For some reason, he always felt that the atmosphere in the pavilion was strange. Mingrulan wore a fiery red dress today, a fiery red dress with gold thorns that was extremely eye-catching and fiery, and she had also dressed up carefully, making her whole person bright and gorgeous. The crown on her head, her hairstyle, and her earrings were all very particular, completely different from the usual dressing style, just like a getting married bride, so beautiful and radiant that it can sting people's eyes. In addition to her clothes, Mingrulan also looked a little strange. She looked at the 3 boys and girls playing in the distance from time to time, and then looked at Xiaopingan. One hand naturally hung on her lower abdomen, as if gently he was caressing her belly, and the smile on his face was hard to figure out. As for Xiaopingan, it was still the same as before. It was difficult for Yan Duo to read any unnecessary information from Xiaopingan's face. Every time, Xiaopingan's eyes looked at Mingrulan, and Mingrulan always talked to him affectionately. Looking at each other, they responded with a sweet smile. There is an affair, these 2 people definitely have an affair. Yan Duo murmured in his heart that since the 2 of them came out of seclusion last time, Yan Duo had discovered that Mingrulan looked at Xiaopingan in a completely different way. Just now, the 3 of them drank 2 glasses of wine. Xiaopingan said that he would return to Yuankai world. After the matters in Yuankai world were completed, he would then go to the divine realm of the heavens. Everyone knows that Xiaopingan may never come back when he goes to the all-heaven god realm this time. What awaits him is either becoming a god or being annihilated and falling into the all-heaven god realm. This is what he is going to the all-heaven god realm. The destination of all demigods. From participating in the Tian Mending project to now, there has never been a moment when Yan Duo felt so entangled in his heart. He didn't know whether to say congratulations or say a final farewell to Xiaopinggan. There was a weird silence in the pavilion for half a minute. Yan Duo was alone, drinking a glass of wine. He just managed a smile on his face and was about to say a few witty words to ease the weird atmosphere. Then, he looked when he arrived. Mingruolan suddenly grabbed one of Xiaopinggan's hands in front of him, and then naturally placed it on her lower abdomen. Guhuan. Do you feel it? Already, I will advance to demigod. When the child grows up, I will come to you. Yan Duo spit out the wine he just drank in his mouth, cough cough cough. His face turned red from being choked, and he looked at Xiaopinggan and Mingruolan with wide eyes. Yan Duo thought he would exclaim, but for some reason, he understood it in an instant, and the exclamation that had just rushed to the edge of his throat was swallowed by him in one fell swoop. Xiaopinggan closed his eyes, as if he was feeling something. Half a minute later, Xiaopinggan reopened his eyes. He nodded slightly to Mingruolan, without saying anything, just picked up his cup. Drank all the wine in the glass. Everything I want to say is in this glass of wine. In the second half of the sky mending plan, I will be the first to go. I hope there will be a day to see each other again, and then I can see other companions representing me. I say hello to them. If you ever see Xiaoning again, keep it a secret for me and don't let her worry about me. After saying this, Xiaopinggan stepped out of the pavilion and came to the valley. The god of fortune boy flew towards him, waved to the other two boys and girls, and suddenly entered his secret mandala. The strong wind is blowing, the clouds are flying, and the sea is returning home, and the warriors are guarding the four sides. Xiaopinggan sang loudly, and took the second step. A gap opened in the space in front of him, and Xiaopinggan stepped into the gap with one step. Disappeared in front of the two people in the blink of an eye. Xiaopinggan just left. Yan Duo wanted to say something, but found that his throat and chest felt as if someone was tightly grasping him, and he couldn't say a word. He looked at Mingruolan, only to find that Mingruolan was looking at Xiaopinggan blankly. In the direction of leaving, tears could not stop flowing. It doesn't actually matter who a person likes. What is more important than liking is suitability. Mingruolan turned her head, looked at Yan Duo and smiled. I may be selfish, but to him, it's the most suitable one. Yan Duo seemed to understand Mingruolan's words, but he didn't seem to understand either. After saying this to Yan Duo, Mingruolan looked at a forest not far away and spoke softly, Mother-in-law, come out. The trunk of a big tree in the forest suddenly bulged, and then Granny Yan walked out of the big tree. Yan Duo had no idea when Granny Yan came or how long she had been here. The aura on Granny Yan was slightly unfamiliar at this moment and seemed much stronger than before. Mingruolan gently touched her belly again. Mother-in-law, get ready, I'm going back. Granny Yan just looked at Mingruolan with distressed eyes. After listening to Mingruolan's words, she just nodded, lowered her gaze and responded, yes, Saint, I will make arrangements right away. The look on Mingruolan's face suddenly became majestic. She raised her face, her eyes were bright, sacred and noble. From now on, don't call me a saint again, I am no longer a saint of the Tianxing section. The master has sent the decree, she has gone to the secret realm of heaven again, and she has just officially passed on the position of sect leader to me. I've met the sect leader. Granny Yan bent down a little more and her tone became more respectful. Seeing Grandma Yan's sharp gaze, Yan Duo immediately reacted and gave Mingruolan the sect's courtesy, I've met the sect master. From now on, Yan Duo, you are the guardian elder of Tianxing sect, and also the future godfather of the child in my belly. Thank you for your hard work. Mingruolan had already arranged a lot of things in just a few words. Yan Duo takes his life. In less than an hour, The entrance to the space passage between the god-killing insect world and Yuankai world has appeared in front of Xiaopinggan. It is a huge funnel-shaped passage. On both sides of the funnel, two different worlds are connected. Countless space turbulence swirled around the loophole. Xiaopingyan did not hesitate. The light wings behind him flapped and he suddenly fell into the space passage and returned to the Yuankai world. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 842. Yuankai World, Mujiazhu, Dating Kingdom Jianxin Province. Jianxin Province is located on the southeastern coast of the Kingdom of Dating. It is the center of the shipping and metallurgical industries in the south of the kingdom. The entire coastline of Jianxin Province is more than 2,000 kilometers and is dotted with several of the largest ports in the kingdom. 88 of the top 30 shipyards in the Yan Kingdom are in Jianxin Province. Near the docks here, there are large and small chimneys, and there are metallurgical factories everywhere. Previously, the headquarters of Tianhuo sect was in Thousand Stars Province, and Tianhuo sect had huge influence here. Just some time ago, the top management of Tianhuo sect seemed to have completely disappeared overnight, which shocked the Great Ting Kingdom. As late at night came, in a villa residential area near Fulonggang Shipyard, the largest shipyard in Jianxin Province, 3 black figures fell from the sky and quietly entered a villa. Then in a moment, all the sounds in the villa were heard. The secret method is isolated, and the whole villa is silent in the dark night, and no one outside is aware of it. At the same time, in the basement of the villa, heart-rending screams echoed in the basement. The male owner of the villa was pinned to a large wooden table in the basement by a restraint technique. The tendons of his hands and feet had been severed, and blood was dripping from the table, staining the ground red. I really don't know where those senior officials from Tianhuo sect have gone. The man wailed in pain. His body wanted to struggle, but he couldn't move. He could only twist on the table like a shrimp, and seemed to be waiting. The slaughtered lamb, the man's voice was extremely sharp due to fear and pain, and his pale face was distorted. I am just a small technician. I have learned metallurgical technology from the elders of Tianhuo sect before, but I did not join Tianhuo sect, because I want to join the Tianhuo section. The requirements are very high. I am still in the investigation period. I am an administrator of the metallurgical plant. I really don't know about the other things. This is all I know. By the way, those metallurgical notes are all in the drawer of my study. The money is in the safe. Don't say that, right? Then continue. I'll see how many intact parts of your body are still there. Once the skin on your body is cooked, I'll peel off your skin bit by bit. You can enjoy it slowly. We still have a lot of time tonight. As a cold voice sounded, a red-hot iron fell directly on the man's face as he begged. Amidst the sound of qi, smoke rose from the man's face, and the smell of burnt flesh resounded in the secret room. In the smell of burnt flesh, there was a mark on the man's face. The mark of the blood demon cult. This kind of pain is almost unbearable for anyone. When the iron falls, the man's body trembles and twists, his whole spine arches, but he falls helplessly on the table. The man was desperate. He lay on the table, his body trembling, his head tilted, looking at his wife and daughter who were tied and trembling on the ground in the distance. His eyes were full of pleading and despair. A summoner wearing black robes with blood-red eyes and a face as thin as a skeleton was standing next to his wife and daughter. He was licking his lips and holding a sharp sword in his hand. He was grinning and cut his wife's skirt open, revealing the white snow. His wife was wailing, but the summoners in black robes were indifferent. In order to find those who belong to the Tianhuo sect, the Blood Demon sect has gone crazy in Dating Kingdom these days. They are collecting clues about the top leaders of the Tianhuo sect and have caused more than one murder. Many people who were previously related to the Tianhuo sect have been tortured. At the poisonous hands of the Blood Demon sect, the Blood Demon sect did not dare to be too presumptuous. After all, this was the Great Ting Kingdom, and the summoners of the Great Ting Kingdom were not vegetarians, so they could only come in secret. Seeing that the man was just begging after being tortured like this and had no idea about the whereabouts of the senior officials of Tianhuo sect, the men in black were a little fed up. The black-robed summoner leading the team waved his hand and said coldly, "Sacrifice them, and we will find the next target." "Altar Master, this man's wife and daughter are pretty good. It's a pity." He, you can have fun." The summoner with a face as thin as a skeleton was staring at the man's daughter and wife with greedy eyes, his throat trembling, he seemed to be swallowing his saliva. "Stop talking nonsense, it's delaying important things. Can you and the palace master explain it yourself? I'm just talking casually." The long sword was raised, and the summoner, whose face was as thin as a skeleton, muttered words. Bloody light began to appear on the sword, and a blood-red devil's eye began to appear in the light. At the moment when the long sword was about to be swung down, a sudden change occurred, and a bright bolt of lightning appeared directly from the feet of the blood demon cult spiritualist who was holding a long sword. In just an instant, the lightning flashed like a scurrying silver snake in the basement. It hit the three summoners in the secret room at the same time. The summoner of the blood demon sect who was holding the long sword was suddenly burnt black in the lightning, and he fell backwards. The other summoner of the blood demon sect who was holding the soldering iron just now had a water droplet appear on his body. Shield, but the lightning still penetrated the water shield and hit his chest. He vomited blood and flew out. Only the altar owner, at the moment the lightning struck, a blood-colored rune appeared on his body and enveloped his whole body, blocking most of the power of the lightning. "Gu Shao." A figure emerged from the ground almost as soon as the lightning came out. With a wave of his hand, a piece of ice pick directly penetrated dozens of holes in the body of the charred summoner holding the long sword and nailed that person to the ground. The long sword fell, and the man kicked the hilt of the sword. The long sword turned into a ray of light, catching up with the summoner who vomited blood and flew backwards like lightning, directly passed through the summoner's head, and killed the summoner. Nailed to the basement wall. Although it was a startling glance, the man who emerged from the ground had already killed two of his men. At the same time, the altar owner also saw clearly the face of the summoner who emerged from the ground. That face is very distinctive, young, handsome, with a bit of indifference. He will never forget it even after he turns to ashes. In the past 2 years, all the people in the blood demon sect have to recognize that face over and over again almost every day. The portrait almost makes people collapse. Xiaopingan. The altar owner's scream was earth-shattering, and his eyes suddenly widened. After shouting the name, he waved his hand and fired countless blood arrows towards Xiaopingan. He himself retreated violently. He smashed the basement door and tried to escape from here as fast as he could. At the moment of the fight, the altar leader had already felt that the aura on Xiaopingan's body seemed to be in the 7 Yang realm, and he was only the peak of the 6 Yang realm, and had not yet merged with the divine spring of the 7 Yang realm. He wanted to stay. Is by no means Xiaopingan's opponent, and as long as he can escape and discover Xiaopingan's whereabouts, it will be a huge achievement. Lightning and flames chased the altar owner, and the entire basement was like an earthquake. Xiaopingan's body also chased after him like lightning. Just 2 seconds later, with a loud bang, most of the ground structure of the entire villa was reduced to ashes and fragments. The altar master of the blood demon sect screamed, leaving an arm and a leg behind, and the incomplete body turned into a swift blast. The bloody light quickly flew into the clouds and disappeared. This loud noise completely alarmed Fulongport. Within a radius of 10 miles, several auras of divine power quickly appeared and quickly approached here. Xiaopingan watched the leader of the blood demon cult disappear into the night sky, his eyes flickered, and instead of chasing him, he quickly returned to the basement. With a wave of his hand, the restraints of the man's family in the basement were lifted. After Xiaopingan threw a pill into the man's mouth, the wounds on his body immediately stopped bleeding and began to heal. "Thank you, thank you, thank you for saving your life." The man also knew that his family had been saved, and he was so excited that he could not speak incoherently. "The summoner from Dating Kingdom is coming. Leave here and don't come back again," Xiaopingan said coldly. The man nodded quickly, supported his trembling wife and daughter, and quickly stumbled out of the ruins, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The two summoners killed by Xiaopingan exploded something on the floor of the secret room, including a faintly radiant face mirror. Xiaopingan walked to the makeup mirror, looked down, and then stepped on the mirror, causing the mirror to deform. Later, Xiaopingan escaped and disappeared. That night, there were 5 Blood Demon cult squads killed by Xiaopingan, and 3 Blood Demon cult masters escaped. Then, in just one day, the news of Xiaopingan's appearance in Majiazhu spread to all walks of life. Xiaopingan, who had disappeared for several years, reappeared and had advanced to the Seven Suns realm. An update today. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 843. Half a month later, in the southern offshore waters of Majiazhu. Today's sea conditions are very good. A steam trawler with a sudden burst of black smoke is operating at sea. With the shouts of the sailors on the ship, the trawler's large net is collected by the winch on the ship. A sailor with a weathered face was holding a pipe and controlling the winch on the ship, his eyes fixed on the direction of the stern. Judging from the tightness of the steel rope on the winch and the strain on the winch, the experienced sailor, the harvest of this net can already be judged. The net had been half collected, and the sailor who controlled the winch couldn't help but smile. He turned to the captain of the ship who was steering the ship in the cabin and shouted, "This net will definitely yield a big harvest. Boss, go back, I want to send red envelopes to everyone." The ship boss with gray hair and a tough look stuck his head out from the window of the cabin and cursed, "If this net can bring me a net of gold from the sea, I will give you a big red envelope. Grandma, I have one at home if you want dead, you have to be a summoner." Is it so easy to become a summoner? What I earn in a year is not enough for him to buy a foundation building world bead, just like I owed him in my previous life. Gold in the sea is a kind of precious sea fish. The shrimps are all golden, which is the most delicious food in the sea. It is also a great tonic, so it is called gold in the sea. It means that the same weight of gold can be used to buy that precious sea fish, so it is called gold in the sea, and fishing for gold in the sea is the dream of all fishermen. Although the ship boss was cursing, his tone was full of pride, as if he was showing off. All the sailors on the ship knew that the ship boss's youngest son had the talent to become a summoner, and he could complete the construction with just one more world bead. Come on, this youngest son is the pride of the boat boss. The boat boss's family has been fishermen for 5 generations. In this generation, a talent who can be a summoner finally appeared. The fate of the entire family may be changed. The boat boss is proud of it. If it doesn't work out, he desperately wants to turn his youngest son into a summoner. After a while, the heavy trawl net was finally dragged to the fishing boat by the winch. Seeing that the bulging in the trawl net turned into an olive shape, everyone on the boat cheered and happily, and the sailors also speeded up their movements. Those who took the hook, those pulling the net and opening positions all quickly became busy. This net, even if there is no gold in the sea, is still a big harvest. It is full of money. From the gaps in the fishing net, everyone has seen a lot of peony shrimps and luminous pufferfish. Peony shrimps and luminous pufferfish can also be sold for a lot of money. With a crash, the fishing net was suddenly opened, and the net of seafood fished out of the fishing net, which weighed at least tens of thousands of kilograms, was poured onto the unloading deck of the fishing boat. The smiling boss of the ship had already handed over the rudder to someone else and ran to the deck himself to direct everyone to unload the cargo. "Ah, there are dead people, or two." A sailor on the deck suddenly shouted. Yes, in the net of fish and shrimp that was salvaged, two corpses could be seen mixed in. The hands and feet of the two corpses were exposed from the pile of seafood. One hand was pale and pale. There was only half of one thigh, and the bones and meat in the thigh were exposed, which looked a little scary. A young sailor who had just boarded the ship looked at the thigh that was just 2 meters away from him with a horrific wound and tangled muscles, and he vomited. Everyone on the boat looked unhappy. Finding dead people in the sea was extremely unlucky for those who went to sea. The boss of the boat's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Fishermen are very superstitious. If they catch dead people at sea, they can't take any of these fish. If they want to throw them into the sea again with the dead people, he has to return to the sea immediately. After returning home, I had to give out red envelopes to the sailors on the ship one by one, and invite someone to do a French ceremony. After doing this, a lot of gold coins were scattered, and the cost was quite a lot. This net worth at least dozens of gold coins. It would be a pity to just put it back into the sea, but if you don't let it go, with so many pairs of eyes looking at you, when you go back in the future, some of the sailors will have a big mouth, and if you say anything casually, your reputation will also be bad. If this happens, no one will come to pick up the goods, and the hearts of the sailors on the ship will also be dispersed. After struggling in his heart and watching the sailors around him looking at him silently, the ship's boss finally gritted his teeth and endured the pain in his body and gave the order, "Get the things back to the sea, clean the deck, and return to port." Everyone got busy, as if they were sending off the plague, and everyone worked silently, getting all the lively things in this net into the sea. "Boss, this man seems to be the summoner." An old sailor on the ship boldly turned the corpse over with its pale arms exposed, and then immediately shouted. The head of the corpse had been shattered, and half of the body was charred, as if it had been struck by lightning. It looked a bit scary, but the black mage robe that the man was wearing was not completely damaged, and it could be seen that style, and the belt of the mage robe is still intact. You can see that the belt is inlaid with pure gold flame patterns and rubies. It is extremely gorgeous and looks like it is worth a lot of money. In addition to the belt, the corpse also wore 2 rings on its hands. The rings looked unusual. The boss of the ship had quickly arrived in front of the corpse. He looked at the belt on the corpse and his eyes suddenly lit up. Compared to the ordinary sailors on the ship, the boss of the ship had seen more of the world. He knew just by looking at the mage robe of the corpse. This corpse must be a summoner. Look at the belt, which is at least several hundred gold coins, far more than the price of these sea goods. In addition to the belt, look at the rings on the corpse, which seem to be extraordinary. His eyes only moved, then he gritted his teeth again, squatted on the ground, and then in front of everyone, he untied the corpse's belt, took it into his own hand, and touched the corpse again. There was nothing else on the corpse, and then the ship boss took off the 2 rings on the corpse's hand. When taking off one of the rings, the ship boss looked at the strange patterns on the ring and suddenly remembered the rune equipment his son once told him. Most of the summoner's rune equipment are rings, necklaces and the like. For summoners, the cheapest rune equipment costs at least 1,000 gold coins. If this ring is really something used by summoners, then let it go. The captain of the ship holding the ring had his heart beating loudly. He had already done it anyway, so he simply refused to do it. Instead, he turned the other body over and checked it while holding back his nausea and a trace of fear. Gubo. The body of the other corpse looked as if a giant sword had been cut in half and then pierced through by something sharp. The corpse was horrible to look at, but on the wrist of that corpse, there was a shape made of unknown metal. The simple bracelet looks like it is worth a lot of money. The boss of the ship directly pulled off the bracelet. Then together with his men, he threw the 2 corpses into the sea, cleaned up the sea cargo, and immediately turned the ship around. "Boss, the things on those two summoners are worth a lot of money. I heard that the things on the summoners are not cheap." After the work was done, a sailor on the ship licked his lips and asked tentatively. "One sentence. Just now, the boss of the ship took off the things from the two summoners. Everyone saw it, but no one said anything. No one was stupid. In the past, the corpses found at sea were basically fishermen who were killed by pirates or died in other accidents while sailing in small boats. There could not be anything valuable on them. No one expected that the summoner could be fished out from the sea. Here come the corpses. The elders don't seem to have said they can't take the valuable things on these corpses. We all share the blessings and share the hardships. I think those things are still worth a little money. When I get back, I will find someone to sell them, and everyone will get 30%. The ship boss glanced at the crowd and saw that the restless hearts of everyone had been absorbed by him. With a word of comfort, the greedy light in each sailor's eyes subsided slightly, and he secretly breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. This ship is on the sea, and everyone has no restraints. People's hearts are the most restless. Anything can happen, and he can't help it. Don't be careful, after all, it is not about a few fishes, but this matter must be kept secret, and no one can tell it. If it is told, the dead summoner's friends will come to the door, and no one will be able to get over it. Boss, don't worry, we are not stupid. If anyone dares to tell anyone, we will sink him into the sea." A sailor said loudly, and everyone nodded. "It's really strange. Why is there the summoner's body in the sea?" a sailor asked. The captain of the ship also frowned and thought about it. "Do you remember this time when we went to sea? The priest from the temple of the sea came to persuade us, saying that the sea may not be calm during this period, and something big seems to have happened, so let us pay attention. Don't run too far." Yes, there seemed to be a lot of summoners coming to Donggang City some time ago. It was a bit chaotic. They seemed to be looking for someone. "Never mind, we can't afford to cause these troubles, let's go back and talk about it soon." The boss of the ship waved his hand. All the sailors on the ship nodded, and felt a little scared in their hearts. They were definitely not in trouble that could even cause the summoner to die at sea. But half an hour later, the sailors on the ship pointed to the sea and shouted again. "Boss, there are corpses in the sea." It was a corpse turned into lumps of ice, floating on the sea like an ice floe. All the sailors on the ship discovered it. The ship boss, who had just tasted the sweetness, became bolder this time and directly ordered the body to be fished out. The body was quickly fished out, and the harpoon on the ship was used to cut away the layer of ice on the surface of the body. Sure enough, the person inside the body was wearing a summoner's robe and a pure gold headdress. Summoner, the ship boss made another fortune. But the boss of the ship was not happy for long, because after a few minutes, more and more corpses floated from the sea, at least hundreds of them. The corpses had different appearances and different forms of death, but they were all mutilated, and they seemed to be summoned. "Master," after salvaging a few corpses, everyone on the ship became frightened. Even if there were good things on those corpses, they did not dare to salvage any more. "Oh my God, why are so many people dead, and they are all summoners, boss, let's go quickly." The most courageous old sailor on the ship became frightened, his face turned pale, and he felt that he had been involved in something extreme. In dangerous things. Just when the boss of the ship wanted to turn the ship around and go around these corpses, there was a sudden loud bang on the sea more than 1,000 meters in front of them, and a light flashed underwater. Under the sea, hundreds of figures directly it rose from the water and flew into the sky. One of the people flew in front, and countless people were chasing after him. Flames, arrows, ice cones, lightning, and the light of various spells flashed, piercing the void of the sea, lightning and thunder, all flying towards the person in the front. The summoner greeted him, but several huge ice shields suddenly appeared around the summoner flying in front. The ice shields whirled and blocked everyone's attacks in the blink of an eye. Seeing such a scene, the people on the boat were scared to death. The boss of the boat quickly turned the boat around and ran away at full speed. Ha ha ha, Xiaopingan, let's see where you are going to escape. A laughing voice came from the sky. An update today. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 844. With a wave of his hand, the Emperor's sword was sacrificed again by Xiaopingan. In the blink of an eye, the sharp and majestic huge sword light cut through the void, crossing a distance of 1,000 meters, and with one sweep, it chased him like a tail from behind. The nearest summoners were enveloped. Among those summoners, one of the 7 Sun Realm summoners saw the sword light of the Emperor's sword sweeping towards him. His face changed, and he fiercely summoned a water shield and a shield to block him in front of him. At the same time, his body quickly flashed, he dodged, but the sword light of Xiaopingan's Emperor's sword had instantly cut through his water shield and shield. At the same time as he dodged, the sword light of Xiaopingan's Emperor's sword had swept across the knees of his legs. Ah! The summoner of the 7 Sun Realm screamed, his legs were cut off directly, and he fell from the air. As for the other summoners in the 6 Sun Realm, they were not so lucky. Their spell-casting speed and power were a bit slower than those in the 7 Sun Realm, so the sword light of the Son of Heaven sword swept directly through their bodies. 3 6 Sun Realm summoners were killed in the air on the spot. The secret mandala of one of the summoners exploded all of a sudden. Gold coins and some random things scattered from the sky and fell down. The gold coins were flying in the air, shining in the sun, and looking from a distance, they looked like a shimmering golden mist. After the 7 Sun Realm summoner who had broken his legs screamed, he did not dare to stay for a moment. He immediately turned around, took out a handful of elixirs, stuffed them in his mouth and ran away. He knew that he had been seriously injured, and among so many people among the masters and strong men, he has lost the qualification to continue chasing Xiaopingan. If he doesn't escape, let alone Xiaopingan can kill him. Those other people who are also chasing Xiaopingan are not good birds. Like jackals, tigers, and leopards, there is no guarantee that someone will attack him and devour him. This kind of thing has happened more than once these days. Many people came from all directions to Majiazhu to hunt down Xiaopingan. Even Xiaopingan, before they even saw their shadows, they began to fight and kill each other. Many people had died as a result. Xiaopingan has been fighting fiercely for so long, and his divine power is probably almost exhausted. Everyone, work harder and kill him. Among the chasing people, there were still people shouting with their teeth and claws bared, and pairs of greedy blood-red eyes were fixed on Xiaopingan, but everyone was wary and didn't want to be the first to rush up and act like a fool. Wait for others to rush in and consume almost everything, then come up and take advantage. It was under this situation that although there were many people chasing Xiaopingan, they were not of the same mind. Instead, they were restraining each other. On the contrary, Xiaopingan was able to survive the siege of everyone and kill a few in his spare time. He can kill a few, and now the number of people chasing Xiaopingan has been reduced unconsciously. Xiaopingan doesn't need to know their names, and he doesn't want to know their names. No matter who they are, anyone who comes to Majiazhu in response to the Master Demon's killing order and wants his head at this time is not a good bird, and everyone deserves to die. Xiaopingan just want to get rid of this garbage. Xiaopingan has been wandering around Majiazhu and on the sea these days, his whereabouts are elusive, and he has gone on a killing spree. He has killed many summoners who came to Majiazhu to get his head. As for the team of the Blood Demon cult, he even killed more than 10 of them, causing the Blood Demon cult to suffer heavy losses. The cultivation level he showed before was the 7 Yang realm. Therefore, the lowest level of these various people who dare to chase him is the 6 Yang realm. In the world of god-killing insects, the 6 Yang realm is just the threshold for entry. At first glance, summoners of the 6 Yang realm are everywhere, but in fact, leaving the god-killing insect realm, for many forces and families in the Yuan Kai world, summoners in the Liu Yang realm are already the mainstay, and they are all masters who can stand alone. Just like when Xiaoping'an went to Shangjing City, the capital of the Great Shang Kingdom, in the entire Shangjing City adjudication army, there were actually not many summoners above the 6 Yang realm. All of them were respectable figures. Summoners at the 4 Yang realm could already. I am working as an inspector in Shangjing City. In addition to the summoners from the 6 Sun realm and the 7 Sun realm, several other summoners from the 8 Sun realm have also arrived. However, Xiaoping'an has deliberately avoided those summoners above the 8 Sun realm these past few days, preparing to put these miscellaneous ones first. After cleaning up the fish, these characters, which in his eyes were just trash, might look like mountains in front of other Skywalkers. After all, not every Skywalker has the luck and abilities of Mingruolan and Yan Duo. Haha, it's just that today, it seems that my own strength has to refresh these people's understanding. Today, he had a fierce battle with a bunch of people from the 6 Yang realm and the 7 Yang realm at sea, and he had already attracted higher level prey. Xiaoping'an has already seen 3 8 Sun realm masters flying in from several different directions. Among the 3 8 Sun realm people, one of them is a first-level character of the Blood Demon Sex Palace Master, wearing the Blood Demon Sex clothes. Xiaoping'an has never seen the other 2 mage robes. One is an old man wearing a blue robe with a sinister face, and the other is wrapped in a cloud of black energy and wearing a mask. He hides his head and tail, as if he doesn't want to let people discover their true identity. It seems that they are all powerful and overlord-like characters. The Burning Sky Suzaku was summoned, turning a 6 Sun realm summoner who rushed up to Ashes, and dodged to avoid a spell attack. Xiaoping'an, who was in the air, had lotus flowers at his feet, and suddenly a carbine came out, and he turned back and entered. In the crowd chasing his summoner, a summoner from the 7 Sun realm instantly appeared behind him. He swung the long whip that changed its form in his hand. The whip emitted a harsh detonation, directly piercing through the 7 Sun realm. The Yang realm summoner's body protection spell exploded the 7 Sun realm summoner's head, and the whole body was shattered into a ball of blood mist. His figure flashed again and came to the side of several summoners. The long whips in their hands were rolled wildly, and in the terrifying sonic boom, the bodies of those summoners were completely crushed in the air. Xiaoping'an's close combat made many people turn pale with fright, and many of the summoners chasing him dispersed. Be careful, the long whip in Xiaoping'an's hand is a top-grade soul weapon. Ordinary spells and body-protecting water shields can't stop it. Damn, this Xiaoping'an is definitely at the peak of the 7 Suns realm. A group of people who wanted to chase him were shouting and screaming. This situation was like a group of hyenas on the grassland chasing the army. The hyenas wanted to eat the lion's meat and showed off the lion's head in their mouths, but they took the lion back. He killed himself first, so a group of hyenas could only follow the lion, each one looking at a lion with greedy and frightened eyes, trying to attack from time to time, taking a bite, and waiting for the lion to become weak. Xiaoping'an sneered, and with a wave of his hand, he threw out a few 5 thunder talisman. The thunder and lightning roared, electrifying a few awful pieces to a crisp on the outside and tender on the inside. His body was numb and his movements were slow. The next moment, the golden lotus appeared at Xiaoping'an's feet again. The body instantly came to the side of those miscellaneous fish, and while waving the long whip, a few more people were exploded. Before the massive bombardment of spells arrived, Xiaoping'an dodged again and flew away towards the sea. A group of people were chattering in the air, and various spells in the air were filled with light and lightning, which was extremely intense. But a few minutes later, a more powerful aura finally came here, and 3 overwhelming horizontal lines of the Gen hexagram appeared in the sky. The Hall Master of the Blood Demon sect was the first to rush over, without hesitation. He used his domain power to completely block the airspace in front of Xiaopinggan. The Blood Demon sect is doing business, it doesn't matter, everyone, get out of here. The Blood Demon sect's palace master roared angrily, his voice rolling like thunder in the air, his eyes fixed on Xiaopinggan, showing greed. When the other people who were chasing Xiaopinggan saw the arrival of masters from the 8 Yang realm, their expressions changed dramatically. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 845. Almost as soon as the 8 Yang realm master of the Blood Demon sect, who was the first level palace master, released his domain, another voice echoed in the air. Does the Blood Demon sect want to cover the sky with one hand in Magiazhu? They actually want to eat alone here and seize this huge benefit. Haha, let's see if I agree or not. The 8 Yang realm can't scare me yet. The old man wearing a blue robe with a sinister face had quickly flown over, and he also immediately unfolded the power of his domain, and 3 more horizontal lines appeared in the sky. This old man's domain was a Zhenghua. As soon as the 2 8 Yang realm powerhouses appeared and their domains were released, they completely blocked the roads on both sides of Xiaopinggan. The masters who were chasing Xiaopinggan before were all faced with the powerful power of the domains. All dwarfed by them, and were so suppressed that they quickly retreated, not daring to rush towards Xiaopinggan, but those people were unwilling to leave just like that, and just stared at a place other than the 2 8 Sun realm powerhouses. Xiaopinggan ran away in no hurry at this time. He stood in the sky, looked at the people around him, and calmly took out a bottle of elixir to replenish himself some of the consumed divine power. I didn't expect you, the heart-stealing monster, to join in the fun. If you know what's going on, leave immediately to avoid making yourself uncomfortable. Xiaopinggan belongs to our Blood Demon section. Anyone who wants to get involved is an enemy of our Blood Demon sect. The master of the 8 Sun realm from the Blood Demon sect made an angry sound, as if he knew the identity of the old man in the blue robe. Bai Wuhuan, as the master of Magiazhu of the Blood Demon sect, you are here to rob and kill Xiaopinggan. Does your leader of the Blood Demon sect, Xuanhuan, know? The old monster who took the heart laughed. Get up, if my guess is right, Xuanhuan should have given you an order. This Xiaopinggan must be allowed to perform a blood sacrifice. You are not much better with your food-eating appearance. I heard that Xuanhuan was killed in the god-killing insect realm. The mad god was seriously injured and has disappeared for a long time. I wonder if he knows that Xiaopinggan has appeared in Magiazhu. If you say that I came here to kill Xiaopinggan, I am an enemy of the Blood Demon sect, then you are not the Blood Demon section traitor. The man named Bai Wuhuan's eyes moved, his eyes were filled with cold light. He stared at the old man, and said loudly, Old monster with a heart, I came here to capture Xiaopinggan alive, and then wait for the leader to come back. Xiaopinggan is handed over to the leader. You actually dare to alienate me, the Blood Demon sect. When this happens, I will cut you into pieces. Haha, it depends on whether you have the ability to take down Xiaopinggan's head. Yes, this opportunity to become a god is right in front of us. Whoever has the ability will have Xiaopinggan's head. Does the Blood Demon sect really think that it can overwhelm everyone here? As this cold voice sounded, that a figure wrapped in a mass of black air, with a mask on his face, flew directly out of the water. 3 horizontal lines representing the Gon hexagram that pressed against the sky also appeared above the man's head, powerful. The water realm also expanded around that person at the same time. Because this is on the sea, the power of that person's Gongua resonates with the sea and is even more powerful. But as soon as that person's domain is displayed, the sea water within a radius of dozens of miles begins to churn, as if it is being driven by waves. Like a waterspout sucking into the sky, the color of the sky and the earth suddenly changed, and huge water pillars were formed around that person. The power of this field suddenly wiped out the Blood Demon sect's palace master and the old heart-stealing monster. It was suppressed. Hiding his head and showing his tail, who is he, Bai Wuhuan narrowed his eyes and shouted angrily. Ha ha ha, needless to say, it must be those masters who claim to be upright but are full of male thieves and female prostitutes. On the one hand, they want Xiaoping's head, but on the other hand, they are afraid that their identities will be exposed and cause trouble, so they are doing this. He comes here sneakily. If he succeeds, he will become the king and the ancestor. If he fails, he can still change his face and continue to be sanctimonious. I have seen a lot of such garbage, the old heart-stealing monster laughed. When I see these so-called righteous masters who hide their heads and show their tails, I want to break their bones. Old heart-stealing monster, why don't you and I join forces to kill this guy first? Get rid of a competitor first, and then you and I can fight based on our abilities. In this way, I still have at least half a chance. If you and I start fighting among ourselves first, the remaining people will never be his opponents. What do you think? Bai Wuhuan said loudly. Upon hearing what Bai Wuhuan said, the heart-stealing old monster's brows moved, obviously he was a little tempted. The guy hiding in the black mist laughed, not panicking at all. Old heart-stealing monster, don't believe him. Bai Wuhuan just sent me a message, saying that he would pretend to join forces with you and let me work with him to kill you first, and then compete with me based on our abilities. He is deliberately stalling for time and wants to wait for other masters from the Blood Demon cult to arrive. Once the other masters from the Blood Demon cult arrive, we will have no chance. Why don't you and I join forces to kill Bai Wuhuan first, and then you and I will fight for peace in the summer based on our own abilities? You're talking nonsense. Bai Wuhuan immediately shouted angrily. You Blood Demon cult has no credibility at all. Instead of cooperating with you, I might as well cooperate with the old monster who takes the heart, and there is still a chance. The heart-stealing old monster was suddenly confused after hearing what the two people said. His eyes kept turning on the two of them, not daring to make a decision easily. At this time, the three tigers were fighting, but no one dared to take action in a hurry. They were all a little wary of each other, staring at Xiaoping'an, and fearing that the other two would join forces to kill them first. Seeing this scene, Xiaoping'an finally couldn't help it, shook his head, and laughed suddenly. Interesting, interesting, you don't have to argue, let's do it together. When Xiaoping'an said this, everyone present was shocked and looked at Xiaoping'an one by one. Was Xiaoping'an scared out of his wits? He was already doomed and he still wanted to challenge 3 8 Yang realm experts by himself? Or is this Xiaoping'an's intention to provoke the 3 8 Yang realm experts to take action, so that he can take advantage of the chaos and escape? Such a thought flashed through everyone's mind. Ha ha ha, what a loud tone, you are already a piece of cake on the chopping board, and you still want to play tricks. The old monster who took the heart laughed. Oh, really? Xiaoping'an smiled slightly, no longer bothering to explain anything. Then, in the next second, 6 horizontal lines with a terrifying aura appeared behind him at the same time. One of the 6 horizontal lines was Gongua, one is Li Gua. As soon as these 6 horizontal lines come out, a huge field unfolds behind Xiaoping'an. No, dual realm. Everyone's expression suddenly changed. The guy whose whole body was wrapped in black mist and the old heart-stealing monster suddenly lost their souls and turned around to run away. Xiaoping'an is not in the 7 Yang realm, but in the 8 Yang realm. Not only is he in the 8 Yang realm, but he also masters the power of the domain. Not only does he master the power of the domain, but he also has a terrifying dual domain. There is nothing more deceptive than this in the world. These dual domains are in the hands of the same person. It is by no means as simple as 1 + 1 = 2, but the power and scope of the entire domain are qualitatively improved compared to ordinary 8 Yang realm experts. In this realm, it is possible to completely suppress other powerful people in the 8 Sun realm. It is not an exaggeration to block 10 with 1. In the history of the Yuan Kai world, there were records of strong men who mastered dual domains, killing more than 10 strong men of the same level in one battle. Therefore, as soon as they saw Xiaoping'an displaying dual realms, everyone present was frightened to death, and those who reacted quickly ran away without even thinking. Xiaoping'an smiled coldly, and with just a thought, the dual realm of water and fire he unfolded turned into a huge red and black space, covering all spaces within a radius of 10 kilometers. The expansion of Xiaoping'an's domain was too fast, and its coverage was so large that no one present could escape, including the hall master of the blood demon cult, the old monster who took the heart, and the hidden guy who had been chasing him before. This is especially true for those guys in the 7 Yang realm and 6 Yang realm. The dual realm of water and fire, with fire on the top, is red, and water below is pitch black. The two realms are squeezed together, like a huge millstone, and like a huge furnace, they begin to rotate, with a terrifying sound. Powerful, crushing everything. All the people who were caught in this dual realm were just like beans being poured into a huge millstone in just an instant. The ordinary masters of the 7 Sun realm and the 6 Sun realm did not say a word, one by one. His body immediately shattered and was turned into ashes by the flames. The old monster with the heart, Bai Wuhuan, and the guy wrapped in black mist could only release their own domains to support themselves, but their domains were not at the same level as Xiaoping'an's. After just holding on for a moment, cracks began to appear in their domain and they began to tremble violently. The power of water and fire in Xiaoping'an's domain was all-pervasive and indestructible, eroding and crushing towards their domain. Ah! Bai Wuhuan screamed. The moment his domain was shattered, every pore in Bai Wuhuan's body was spraying plasma. It was extremely miserable. His domain and his body collapsed at the same time, instantly. The crushed city ashes exploded in the air. After Bai Wuhuan, the realm and body of the old heart-stealing monster collapsed and shattered. Only the guy wrapped in black mist lasted a little longer, but only a little. Xiaoping'an, I am, the great elder of the Holy King section. And the enshrined elder of Dating Kingdom, you can't kill me. The guy wrapped in black mist finally shouted at this time, revealed his identity. Oh! Xiaoping'an didn't even move his eyelids, and continued to crush the dual domains. A few seconds later, the domain and body of the great elder of the Holy King sect who was still shouting collapsed into ashes at the same time. In Xiaoping'an's dual domain, no one was alive anymore, and everyone was used by Xiaoping'an. A fatal blow, all turned to ashes. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 846. In the dark cave, there was a bonfire, and the bright firelight warmed the cave. Outside the cave, you could also hear the sound of waves lapping against the rocks and the sea breeze rustling the palm trees outside. There is a golden grilled fish on the bonfire in the cave. It is the gold in the sea. The gold in the sea has been licked by the flames of the bonfire and has been roasted until it is sizzling and oily. A fragrance also floats in the cave. Xiaoping'an was sitting in the cave, holding 3 world beads flashing with various colors of light in one hand, squinting at the 3 world beads. These 3 world beads are one of today's trophies. Today, after he used his domain to crush those bastards, the objects that those people exploded in the domain, except for the world beads and some precious metal items, were all turned into ashes. The world beads naturally became his trophies. And the 3 world beads in front of you are one of them. These are 3 world beads, one of which is a divine power world bead, among which there are 4 small seal characters Hanji Kanji, the other 2 magic world beads are evil monster, and the other world bead is Zhao Pu. Juxian, these 3 world beads are all world beads that Xiaoping'an has not fused with before. Xiaoping'an, who was playing with the 3 world beads, had a thought, and a drop of blood flashing with a faint golden light was forced out from his fingertips and fell on the Hanjiu Kangji world bead. Before becoming a demigod, if the summoner's blood touches this unfused world bead, the world bead will instantly absorb the blood and then be activated. The blood is the command. At this moment, his blood is dripping on the world bead. On it, it was like a drop of dew falling on the boundary bead, rolling on the surface of the boundary bead. The dim light on the boundary bead flashed without any reaction at all. The drop of blood also stayed on the boundary bead. At every turn. In this situation, other summoners will definitely think that Xiaoping'an has already fused this world bead or failed to fuse this world bead, so this world bead cannot be activated and fused again, except for fusion. In addition to the inability to continue to fuse the world beads that have passed, there is another possibility that the summoner will no longer be able to fuse the world beads, that is, the top demigod level experts can no longer continue to fuse the world beads in this world. The drop of Xiaoping'an's blood seemed to come alive, like a gangster chasing a beautiful woman, jumping playfully among the 3 world beads, running around, constantly trying to get along with one of the 3 world beads. Fusion, but unfortunately, the 3 world beads showed no response, and were extremely cold. No matter how the drop of blood tried, the 3 world beads ignored him. Seeing this situation, the drop of glowing blood gave up trying to fuse, jumped to the back of Xiaoping'an's hand again, and merged into Xiaoping'an's body. Ah, the demigods really can't continue to fuse the world beads in this world. According to what the senior Tongren said, do you really have to go to the gods of the heavens and regrow the god bones in your body in order to continue to fuse these world beads? Xiaoping'an, he muttered to himself, shook his head and smiled bitterly. Since becoming a summoner, this was the first time Xiaoping'an had experienced the situation where the world pearl could not be fused in front of him. Sure enough, no matter how powerful the demigod is, he cannot change the laws of the world. In this world, demigods are the pinnacle of power and cannot continue to fuse with the world beads. If they want to continue merging, the only way is to go to the realm of the gods. With a move of his hand, Xiaoping'an put away the 3 realm beads and began to concentrate on grilling fish. Today he killed 3 8 Yang realms and hundreds of 6 Yang realm and 7 Yang realm miscellaneous people who wanted to catch fish. Once, it will definitely shake the entire Yuankai world, and it will make many snobbish and many summoners tremble when they think of the 3 words Skywalker in the future. After cleaning up these miscellaneous fish, those who dare to trouble me again in the future should be the big men above the 9 Yang realm, so I just need to wait with peace of mind. More than 20 minutes later, while Xiaoping'an was eating grilled fish and drinking wine, Xiaoping'an's eyes suddenly froze, but he did not move, only a strange smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and he continued to grill the fish calmly. Holding something. After a few minutes, the sound of the waves suddenly disappeared, and the fiery red bonfire in the cave suddenly turned into a strange bright green. The entire cave was glowing green, looking eerie. On the rock walls on both sides of the cave, painful faces emerged from the rock wall, and then arms made entirely of rocks stretched out from all over the cave, waving, trying to grab something. At first glance, this dark green the rock walls of the cave were full of painful faces and struggling and waving arms. The cave suddenly became like the 9 nether hells, and even the exit of the cave, those rocks, became a bloody mouth. Xiaoping'an was like a prey swallowed by that big mouth, and he was suddenly desperate. It's a pity, this fish will be grilled soon. Xiaoping'an looked at the fish that turned to ashes under the green firelight, and shook his head regretfully. As expected of the person who is wanted by the Lord Demon God, Xiaoping'an, your courage is truly extraordinary. You can still be so calm at this time. A sinister voice sounded. As this voice appeared, a man in black robes appeared. The figure emerged from the ground at the entrance of the cave like a strange shadow little by little. This is an old man, skinny. The aura of his whole body is dark and cold, as if he crawled out of a grave. This old man is staring at Xiaopinggan with a hint of ecstasy in his teasing eyes. It's like looking at a treasure, or like looking at a fish on the chopping board. Haha, why should I panic? Xiaopinggan looked at the old man, took the wine bottle beside him, raised his head, and continued to drink the wine. The wine flowed directly from the corner of his mouth, heartily. A master of the 8-yang realm who masters dual domains does have the capital to be proud of. The emotion's life or death is uncertain now. No wonder you dare to show up to take revenge on those of the blood demon sect. The old man smiled coldly and walked towards Xiaopinggan step by step. He came over and said, "It's just that the gap in realm cannot be made up by a dual realm. For the peak powerhouse in the 9-sun realm, your dual realm is nothing more than that. There is something more powerful above the realm, the power, that is the power of the holy way that combines magic and martial arts. You probably don't know it yet." "Oh, I've heard a bit about the combination of law and martial arts." Xiaopinggan smiled slightly, "Looking at your age, you are not too young. You are probably not an unknown person, right?" "Deputy leader of the Tianxia Alliance, Yan Zigai," the old man said and couldn't help laughing. His smile looked like a skeleton with its mouth open. "I used to live in seclusion in Majiazhu. I was just thinking about trying my luck in the heavenly Dao secret realm, but I didn't expect you to come to Majiazhu. This is because God wants me to become a god, ha ha ha." "Oh, really?" Xiaopinggan smiled slightly. "Actually, you don't have to die. As long as you tell me why the demon lord is willing to spend so much effort to chase you and kill you, if I'm in a good mood, I might be able to spare your life," Yan Zigai said. There was a light like a will-o'-the-wisp flashing in his eyes, but his tone suddenly became gentle. Xiaopinggan almost burst into laughter. This Yan Zigai was indeed greedy and cunning. He actually wanted to find out from himself the secret of being hunted by the dominant demon god in order to gain greater benefits. He was indeed a character. However, Xiaopinggan actually didn't understand why he was hunted down by the demon lord with so much trouble. "This is also what I want to say to you. If you can tell me something valuable enough, if I am in a good mood, can I spare your life?" "Ha ha ha, just you, a young boy who has only mastered the dual realm of the 8 suns realm. Who told you that I am from the 8 yang realm?" Xiaopinggan looked at the arrogant and sinister look on Yin Juling's face and smiled slightly. "You can combine the power of your domain with the slightly more eye-catching magic and martial arts. The combination of the 3 methods can be regarded as a talent. Unfortunately, your mastery of the power of this field is not complete. There is only one kind. Your method of combining magic and martial arts can only mobilize a little of the power of the 5 elements. That's all. In front of those who truly master the art of combining magic and martial arts, your set of things are all empty-headed rubbish. It's okay to scare people, but if you really want to use them to fight against the strong, others will kill them with just one finger. I can crush you to death." Yan Zigai's face suddenly changed, because at this moment, he suddenly felt that the power of the 5 elements inside and outside the cave was completely out of his control, and there was an even more powerful high-level force that made his heart tremble. The power of the cave instantly took over and covered everything inside and outside the cave. The powerful power and the pressure of the realm made his mind shake. Even the secret mandala was shaking. There was a feeling of a sheep entering a tiger's mouth, like Mount Tai pressing down on top, hanging over his head. This strong, shuddering sense of oppression and the resulting sense of surrender and fear was something he had never experienced from the demigod leaders of the Tianxia Alliance. This was something only the top demigods could experience. Aura. Looking at Xiaopinggan, who was still sitting by the bonfire, at this moment, in Yan Zigai's eyes, he was like an ancient beast wearing human skin. "Who are you?" Yan Zigai yelled with a fierce look. His eyes rolled around, but he had stopped and was trying to retreat out of the cave step by step. The bonfire in the cave had returned to its normal color at this time, and the painful faces and outstretched arms on the rock walls on both sides of the cave quickly disappeared into the cave and returned to normal. Xiaopinggan looked at him with a smile, just stretched out a finger towards him and asked, "Do you want to see the true power of the combination of law and martial arts?" Yanzai stamped her feet on the ground, trying to escape, but found that the floor of the cave had become as hard as fine steel at some point. Boom! A hot beam of light shot out from the cave and disappeared in the blink of an eye. A few seconds later, Xiaopinggan walked out of the cave as if taking a walk, looked outside the island, and couldn't help but laugh. This guy is quite thoughtful. He actually used a 5 elements 1000 machines air-locking formation. The atmosphere and space of this island were sealed off, and I was afraid that I would run away. Xiaopingyan was about to reach out and put away the formation disc, but he changed his mind and retracted the hand he was about to extend, leaving the formation disc to protect the island while he continued to return to the cave. The fish was grilled, and after a while, the aroma of the grilled fish wafted out of the cave again. After a moment, Wang Zhejian's soft voice came out from the cave, "Your Majesty, just rest. I'll leave the grilling of fish to Zhejian." After Wang Zhejian's voice appeared, the figure of the god of fortune also flashed out of the cave and started playing around on the island like a wild horse. In the cave, Yanzai's figure had disappeared, leaving only a layer of ashes on the ground where he was standing just now. An update today. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 847. Rumble. The golden flame-burning iron fist of the Flame King shattered the layers of barriers in the nightmare insect nest, destroying the bones and shaking the entire nightmare insect nest. With just one punch, hundreds of nightmare insects along the way were turned into ashes. A little bit of soul power continued to gather towards the Flame King Kong, other nightmare insects, and those nightmare demons that had turned into human forms began to fly out of the nest in a hurry, trying to escape. For these nightmare insects and nightmares, they never dreamed that one day, such a murderous monster would suddenly appear outside their lair, and then start destroying and killing without saying a word. The nest of this nightmare insect is located in the spiritual world corresponding to Magia's. Under the abyss of the spiritual world, it is blocked by black mist all year round. This nest has been here for countless thousands of years. There are countless nightmare insects and nightmare demons in the lair. Because there are many mortals in the Yuankai world, the spiritual world corresponding to the Yuankai world is also the paradise of these nightmare insects and nightmare demons. They have never encountered them here. The entire Magiao continent has become a private land for them to harvest and wreak havoc on the spiritual bodies of hundreds of millions of ordinary people. This situation continues to this day. The Flame King Kong breaking into this abyss nest is like an anteater breaking into an ant nest. Looking at the fleeing nightmare insects, nightmare demons, the huge body of the Flame King burned like a scorching sun, illuminating the dark abyss. The golden flames rolled, burning everything, those nightmare insects and nightmares. The demon, burned by the flames of the Flame King Kong, instantly turned into nothingness. The power of the powerful barrier shot up from the Flame King's body like a flame into the sky. In an instant, it was like a cauldron that dumped the entire abyss upside down. All the nightmare insects and nightmare demons were sealed by the barrier, and everyone panicked. At a loss, unable to escape any longer, some nightmare insects and nightmare demons tried to break out of the terrifying flame barrier, but as soon as their bodies touched the barrier, they instantly turned into ashes. Countless soul power light spots gathered like streams, converging on the Flame King's body from all directions. Ha ha ha, let's see where you are running away. You have committed evil here for so many years. Today is the time for you to pay the price. Xiaopinggan's voice buzzed through the abyss, and the thunder was rolling. In this voice, the flames of flaming whip more than 10,000 meters long appeared in King Kong's hands. The giant whip was swung in the hands of the flaming King Kong, and it was whipped in all directions with the roar of thunder. It was like a punishment from heaven. Wherever the giant flaming whip reached, everywhere, cleansing the void, everything is destroyed. With a whip, hundreds of nightmares and nightmare insects are reduced to dregs under the giant whip, unable to escape. This is a total hunt. Half an hour later, with a squeeze of the Flame King's iron fist, the last few remaining nightmares were crushed to pieces. The entire abyss layer was in a mess and completely destroyed. Not even a single nightmare insect or nightmare could be seen. The black fog that had previously shrouded the entire abyss had become very thin at this time. The flame diamond light flashed into a necklace and hung on Xiaoping's chest. Xiaoping's figure also appeared in the sky above the abyss. With a smile of victory on his face, he calmly looked down and saw that there was no longer any nightmare insect. The abyss, has it finally been eliminated? From now on, ordinary people in Magiazu will definitely sleep more sweetly at night. The golden soul power of the last few nightmare demons that were eliminated gathered into golden streams, which again converged towards Xiaoping, and were absorbed by Xiaoping. There was nothing going on the island, and Xiaoping, who was waiting on the island, simply went to the spirit world to sweep up the world. The powerful demigod can no longer make any progress in this world, but in the spiritual world, Xiaoping's career as a pastor still has a lot of room for improvement. This is already the 5th day of his sweep in the spiritual world of Yuankai world. This is the 3rd nightmare insect nest he has destroyed. The location of this nest is probably located in the northeast of Magiazu. For 5 consecutive days, it has been destroyed by Xiaoping and has killed countless nightmare insects and demons. At this moment, Xiaoping's soul power has grown to an unimaginable level. It has directly transformed into brilliant rivers of stars in his body, as vast as the void, brilliant and profound. And his career as a pastor has also advanced to a high-level pastor, and his whole person is completely different from before. The power of all the soul power skills mastered by the high-level pastor is doubled. In addition, the soul power form of the high-level pastor has also undergone tremendous changes. At the same time, his innate spiritual creature, the six-winged Peking, also completed an evolution. As the level and ability of the pastor increased, Xiaoping found that his method of combining magic and martial arts had once again taken a step forward, and he suddenly came into contact with a more mysterious realm, as well as his own skill of playing with the puppets of the opponent board. He also made breakthroughs in understanding, mastering and applying, as well as the use of various other summoning spells, as well as the skills of refining soul weapons, etc., all made breakthroughs again. This is the benefit brought by the powerful soul. Except for the fact that the upper limit of the divine power of his secret mandala has not changed or increased, Xiaoping has almost completely transformed himself again, completing an inner sublimation of the demigod realm. If Mr. Jing saw Xiaoping again at this time, he would definitely be shocked by the changes in Xiaoping. Compared with the previous fight against the shadow demon army in the secret realm of Tiandao, he would be completely different. Vaguely, Xiaoping felt that his current state seemed to be the most perfect peak state of the summoner demigod realm. Perhaps, before the spiritual world was destroyed, the demigods of the ancient times had to undergo the baptism of the spiritual world and become high-level shepherds in the spiritual world, so that their souls could become extremely powerful. Really advanced to demigod. Xiaoping murmured to himself, waved his hand gently, and the spiritual world surged like waves. This huge underground abyss was directly filled up by the surging earth, and became a towering mountain. That mountain is like the tombstone of the nightmare insects. The ability of a high-level pastor is like a god in the spiritual world. He is the incarnation of creation. He can turn mountains and seas by waving his hand and using his thoughts to create things. At this moment, Xiaoping felt some movement coming from the island's formation. His eyes flashed, and his entire spiritual body instantly broke through the void of the spiritual world and disappeared. In the cave, Xiaoping opened his eyes, and Xiaolefo stood by his side to protect him. With a wave of his hand, Xiaopingan received Xiaolefu into the secret mandala, and then walked out of the cave. The sky outside the cave is blue, with obvious light, but the clouds and mist in the sky are like a net in the sky, which looks a bit weird. This is the effect of the 5 elements thousand machines air locking formation. Those clouds and mist in the sky is transformed into the formation of this great formation. It is difficult for ordinary people to escape when they are enveloped in this great formation. At this moment, huge roars continued to be heard in the sky of the formation. The formation and the island under Xiaopingan's feet were trembling. It was visible to the naked eye that cracks spread like spider webs in the sky of the formation. Come on, this is the formation's reaction to the powerful attack from outside. The power of this attack far exceeded the limit of 9 Sun Realm Masters. Xiaopingan raised his head and looked into the sky, and saw a blood-red blur of light and shadow from the kingdom of God, moving toward the great formation like Mount Tai. After the bombing, the kingdom of God came, making the originally fragile formation suddenly become as fragile as an egg under a stone. In just 2 minutes, the cracks on the entire 5 elements thousand machines air locking formation were rapidly expanding. In the blink of an eye, the sky was covered with clouds. The web-like clouds and mist in the sky had all been shattered and turned into a mess. There was no longer the same thing as before. Shape. Feeling the slightly familiar aura of the kingdom of God, Xiaopingan's whole body was boiling with excitement. Finally, it's here. Boom. With a loud noise, the sky of the formation suddenly shattered and turned into a piece of broken light and shadow. The formation disk of the formation fell from the sky. It was already torn apart before it landed on the ground, losing all its spiritual energy and turning into debris. The whole picture of this small island in the sea appeared under the sun again. The turbulent waves and sea water surged over, lapping at the rocks, and once again surrounded the small island. The moment the formation shattered, Xiaopingan appeared in the sky. Around the sky of the island, there were 3 powerful figures standing. Xuanhuan, who had red hair like blood and a demonic aura on his body, was one of them. Behind Xuanhuan, there were layers of blood clouds. On top of the blood clouds, countless demons, monsters, and thousands of troops gathered together. The light and shadow of a divine kingdom loomed behind Xuanhuan, coming with a strong sense of oppression that destroyed everything. In Xuanhuan, under the pressure of the kingdom of God, the originally turbulent sponge seemed to be frozen by a strong pressure. The sea surface was calm and waveless, as smooth as a mirror, and all the vitality were gone. A strange and chilling atmosphere. Except for Xuanhuan, the other 2 figures have the powerful aura of demigods on their bodies. 7 or 8 9 Sun Realm and 20 or 38 Sun Realm figures were cowering more than 200 kilometers away. They wanted to get closer but were a little afraid because in front of those people, there were thousands of people wearing clothes. The experts from the 6 Sun Realm to the 9 Sun Realm dressed in the Blood Demon cult have completely blocked the tens of thousands of ordinary kilometers of sea and sky, and have surrounded this small island so airtight that every fly and fish want to. It's impossible to get in. What a big battle! The Blood Demon sect may have already left in full force. However, this is exactly what I expected. Xiaopingan smiled slightly. Xuanhuan finally did not disappoint him. If there were so many people in the Blood Demon sect and those with ulterior motives, he would come to his door one by one. He didn't know how to find him in the year of the monkey, horse, and moon. It's okay now, and he will deliver them all by himself. And Xuanhuan is also here. Golden Summoner. Author, Zyu. Chapter 848. Just as Xiaopingan was sizing up the sky around him, a violent voice roared in his ears. Xiaopingan, we finally meet. Xuanhuan, with blood-red eyes, stared at Xiaopingan, then raised his arms and laughed wildly, his whole head covered with blood and hair flying wildly, with a frightening momentum. God has not been kind to me, ha ha ha, I still left you to me. In Xuanhuan's eyes, Xiaopingan at this moment has become a fish on his chopping board, and can no longer escape from his grasp. And thinking about the rewards he can get after blood sacrifice to Xiaopinggan, Xuanhuan feels I am in a state of elation, and the peak of my life is right before my eyes. It's not finally. In fact, we have met before in the god-killing insect realm. Xiaopinggan smiled and shook his head, but his words were like a red-hot knife inserted into Xuanhuan's heart. You are killing when the god insect realm was beaten like a dog by the crazy god senior and he ran away with his arm broken in order to survive. I was actually watching from the side. Well, it seems that you have been well nourished during this period. You are already at your age and this is broken. My arms and the blood I spit out have all been replenished, and they are still alive and kicking. Xiaopinggan just said one word, and Xuanhuan's wild laughter suddenly stopped. You are looking for death. Xuanhuan roared angrily, I will peel off your skin bit by bit and perform a blood sacrifice for 7 days, letting you die in the most painful way to see if you can talk back. Haha, there's no rush about the blood sacrifice. Anyway, we have to end it today. Xiaopinggan looked at the other two demigods standing in the sky. These two look a little unfamiliar. No, do you know what to call me? Are you two with Xuanhuan, or are you planning to come here to compete with Xuanhuan? In addition to Xuanhuan, the other two powerful demigods also have their own characteristics. One of them is a middle-aged man wearing a set of golden sacred armor. He has a jade face and a long beard. He looks quite good-looking, but the whole person had a condescending and hypocritical air. As soon as Xiaopinggan saw this guy, the word "Yubukan" came to his mind. The other one is completely the opposite. He is wearing a black robe and a ghost mask on his face. He is full of ghost energy and is not allowed to let strangers in. You can tell at a glance that this guy is definitely not a good bird. Xiaopinggan, you'd better put away your little thoughts of sowing discord. Xuanhuan laughed wildly, I asked these two to help, in case you run away or someone else intervenes. Having said this, Xuanhuan pointed at Yubukan, this is Hu Changling, the demigod ancestor of the Hu family, a divine descendant family. This is Tianxia, the leader of the Tianxia alliance. Even if there are other demigods this time, help you, you can't fly even if you don't have wings. The Hu family, the Tianxia alliance, the blood demon sect, grandmas, these rubbish are all mixed together. But Xiaopinggan was still curious in his heart, what kind of benefits did Xuanhuan promise to the ancestor of the Hu family and Tianxia, so that he could let such two strong demigods come to support him at this time? There must be some kind of deal behind it, otherwise, the benefits promised by the Demon Lord are right in front of them, and it is impossible for the Hu family and the Tianxia alliance not to be tempted. The blood demon sect really thinks highly of me, and 3 demigods came at once. Xiaopinggan shook his head. You dare to show up in Magia as Hu, you must have something to rely on, and your cultivation level is between the 7 Yang realm and the 8 Yang realm peak. Who knows what your cultivation level is like? Do you really think I will be that stupid? I'm giving you the opportunity to plot against me. All these methods of yours are left over from my past. I have been in the world for hundreds of years and I have never seen any conspiracy. Xuanhuan sneered, with a look of wisdom on his face. Lion fight rabbit also uses all his strength. I have laid out the battle now. If you have anything to rely on, you can also show it. Let me see who gives you such courage. If not, prepare to die. There's nothing wrong with you thinking that way, but the only thing I can rely on is myself, Xiaopinggan said calmly, raised his hand and pointed at the people surrounding the sea. I'm here just waiting. Because you brought it to my door, it saves me the time and effort of looking for it one by one, and I don't know who wants my head. It's rare for everyone to gather here today, so I just packed it up together. Ha ha ha. Xuanhuan laughed wildly as if he heard something funny, and said in a ferocious voice, even if the crazy god is here today, he is still a dead man. Why do you think so? Just this one punch from me, Xiaopinggan said, without any more nonsense. He punched Xuanhuan directly. Xiaopinggan punched out, and the sun in the sky disappeared. Between heaven and earth, only the mighty power of water was surging. Everyone in the sky thought that they were in the abyss of the sea. Every inch of skin on the body is under endless water pressure. Not only that, the terrifying power of water is like waves and tides, with the charm of the great road of heaven and earth, coming in waves, seemingly able to everything melts and shatters. The power radius of Xiaoping's punch exceeded 300 kilometers. With the punch, not only Xuanhuan and others felt the pressure of Mount Tai, but the power of this punch directly killed all the blood demon cults more than 200 kilometers away. The disciples and those who want to take advantage are all covered. With one punch, the sun disappeared and the sea was overturned. The sea surged within hundreds of kilometers, pouring from the ground into the sky. Countless billions of seawater rose into the sky. Under the powerful rotation of the power of heaven and earth, under the turmoil, a catastrophe of world destruction was launched, and a huge gap hundreds of kilometers long was torn apart in space. In that gap was the frantic space storm that tore everything apart, the mighty power of water and the countless billions of tons of water. The sea water surged, with unimaginable power, turning into thousands of aqua-blue evil dragons, roaring, combining with the spatial storm, blasting towards everyone. The water vapor that filled the void rubbed and turned into countless lightning beams that illuminated the world, interspersed in the sea and sky, filled the void, and struck everyone. Xuanhuan's face suddenly changed drastically. The power of this punch reminded him of the helplessness and fear he felt when he faced the mad god. No, this punch has surpassed the mad god. Even if the mad god is here, it is impossible to deliver such a punch. Boom! Xuanhuan, who was the first to bear the brunt, was hit by Xiaoping's punch and blood spurted out. A bloody rainbow formed in the air. The bones on Xuanhuan's body cracked and shattered into countless pieces. Hu Changling, the demigod ancestor of the Hu family of the divine descendant family, and Tianxia, the leader of the Tianxia alliance, spit out blood. They were caught off guard and were blasted 50 kilometers away by Xiaoping's punch. As for all the masters of the blood demon sect and those who wanted to take advantage of it more than 200 kilometers away, under the terrifying attack of the combination of magic and martial arts, they were like mosquitoes caught in a hurricane. The so-called masters of the Seven Sun realm were instantly shaken into blood mist in the void by the terrifying power, and no scum was left. There were still many masters who were involved in the storm that tore open the space cracks. They disappeared in an instant. With the strength of those people, even if they were in the Nine Yang realm, as long as they did not have the strength to break the void, if they were involved in the most violent space storm with no end, the possibility of surviving would be no better than that of a dragonfly. There is a greater chance of being caught in a storm. With just Xiaoping's punch, except for the three powerful demigods Xuanhuan, all the peripheral masters were wiped out, and those who were lucky enough to survive were basically seriously injured. Of course, what was more severely damaged than physical injuries was the spirit and will of those people. No, Xuanhuan roared, vomiting blood. The punch just now made Xuanhuan understand that Xiaoping has not only advanced to the level of demigod, but has also become the top being among demigods that is more powerful than the mad god. This sea-shaking punch not only shattered all the sweet dreams that Xuanhuan had made him feel great terror in his heart. Hu Changling, the demigod ancestor of the Hu family, didn't even have time to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth, before he turned into a ray of light and tried to escape from the torn space crack. The punch just now completely knocked out the soul of Hu Changling, the demigod ancestor of the Hu family of the divine family. This is the top demigod who has mastered the power of the holy way at the highest level. Even if the three of them join forces, they are definitely no match. The leader of the Tianxia alliance also ran for his life without saying a word. He took out a black boat and jumped on it, and the boat sank into the void. Want to run away? Xiaoping smiled coldly and punched out again. In the sky with a radius of tens of thousands of miles, Xiaoping's kingdom of God came to the world for the first time, and heavily collided with Xuanhuan's kingdom of God. The effect of the two demigods' divine kingdoms colliding together without any fancy, made the void with a radius of tens of thousands of ordinary kilometers vibrate like a sponge. The terrifying shockwave instantly spread to thousands of miles away, and everything was like as still as it was. Pieces of the void were shattered, and the trend of shattering was still spreading rapidly like cracks. Those who had just survived Xiaoping's first punch were blasted in the shockwave of the collision between the kingdoms of gods. With one sound, each one turned into blood mist and ashes. Even the strong ones in the Nine Sun realm were no exception. Xiaoping's punch hit the void. The leader of the Tianxia alliance, Tianxia, who had jumped on the black boat and submerged into the void, and his boat were squeezed out from the void. The black boat suddenly shattered. Tianxia wanted to resist Xiaoping and Xia. One arm of Ping An's fist, from the fist to the shoulder, was like raw materials thrown into a meat grinder, exploding into blood mist powder inch by inch. Hu Changling, the demigod ancestor of the Hu family of the divine descendant family, was cut off in his fleeing glory 100 miles away. Hu Changling screamed in agony, and his two legs were smashed to pieces. As for Xuanhuan, his divine kingdom was directly shattered in the collision with Xiaoping's divine kingdom, just like an egg hitting a stone. At the moment when the divine kingdom was shattered, Xuanhuan's pores, eyes, nose, mouth and ears were all spraying plasma was directly hit hard, and the whole person's breath shrank. Xiaoping's divine kingdom has the blessing of the divine body, and his terrifying soul power has been condensed into galaxies as sinews. It has also been fused with the Sun Saint realm pearl, and the convergence of the five elements has been realized. In comparison, Xuanhuan's the kingdom of God is just a little stronger than the ordinary demigod kingdom. In front of Xiaoping's kingdom of God, it is so fragile. In the sky, the light and shadow of the divine kingdom of thousands of miles of mountains and rivers gradually appeared behind Xiaoping at this time. The golden light was brilliant. In the divine kingdom, the powerful God lifted the sky and stepped on the earth. The green dragon, the white tiger, the red bird and the black and white tiger stood in their positions, and thousands of troops and horses were standing there. In the thunder, it was like heavenly soldiers and generals trying to pounce at any time. Xiaoping raised his hands high, and his eyes bloomed with two golden lights, like gods coming to the world, possessing endless divine power. Now that you're here, don't leave. Let's all die here. Xiaoping said, and punched out for the third time. The majestic divine kingdom crushed down. Hu Changling, the demigod ancestor of the Hu family of the divine descendant family, never dreamed that Xiaoping's third punch would actually hit him. As Xiaoping moved his fist, the four terrifying forces of wind, thunder, water, and fire in the void were released in just an instant. They gathered together and forced Hu Changling into a blind corner and had to fight head-on. Boom! Hu Changling screamed under that punch, and his entire figure disappeared bit by bit in the exploding light like the scorching Sunday. He was completely turned into ashes and was ruthlessly bombarded by Xiaoping. Xiaoping's crushing Shenqiu was like beating a drowned dog, and blasted directly towards Xuanhuan and Tianxia, the leader of the Tianxia alliance. Xuanhuan repeated his old tricks, stimulating the energy and blood all over his body, and condensed a devil's eye in the air, trying to stop Xiaoping's divine kingdom from crushing him. However, the devil's eye just appeared and was destroyed by Xiaoping's divine kingdom. The country was shattered. Xuanhuan only had time to scream, and his head was smashed by the kingdom of God. The other arm and half of the body of Tianxia, the leader of the Tianxia alliance, were once again reduced to rubbish in the roar of Xiaoping's kingdom of God. Xuanhuan's life is too strong, and the secret method of the blood demon cult is terrifying enough. Even if his head has been shattered, the masses of flesh and blood on his bloody neck begin to twist, and a new head is about to grow. Come out! But before Xuanhuan's new head could grow, Xiaoping's fourth punch had already hit. This punch is fire. Endless fire pours out from the void, burning everything. The sea water in the sky also becomes the raw material to help the fire burn. The sky with a radius of tens of thousands of ordinary kilometers becomes a terrifying furnace at this moment, and all the flames and high temperature gathered in the center of the fusion. The temperature and pressure have reached unimaginable highs, the flames have become invisible and colorless, and the center of the furnace is Xuanhuan and Tianxia. Ah! Xuanhuan screamed. In Xiaoping'an's punch, he didn't last long, and his whole body turned into ashes. After Xuanhuan, Tianxia also turned into ashes, with almost no resistance. When Xiaoping'an's divine kingdom disappeared again and the water returned to the sea, Xiaoping'an stood alone in the sky with no enemy in front of him. Countless boundary beads were floating in the sky. Except for the boundary beads, everything else is trash. I, Xiaoping'an, am here. Doesn't the demon lord want my head? All the scum who want the reward from the demon god, come here. I will fight against the world by myself. Let's see who has the ability to take my head. Xiaoping'an. As soon as Ping'an spoke, his voice resounded across thousands of miles of sea. Wherever there was surging sea water, roaring waves, and roaring tides, the sound made by the sea water was Xiaoping'an's voice. Xiaoping'an advanced to the level of demigod, and single-handedly killed Xuanhuan, the leader of the blood demon cult, Hu Changling, the demigod ancestor of the Hu family, and Tianxia, the leader of the Tianxia alliance, as well as thousands of nine. This battle between masters below the Yang realm was earth-shattering and shook the entire Yuankai world. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 849. The Great Shang Kingdom went to the capital. Today, drizzle and cold smoke enveloped the entire imperial city like a curtain. In the palace, the windows in the political hall were open, and on the glazed tiles outside the windows, lines of water were hung, like thousands of beads falling down, which gave a unique sense of beauty. The beak of the bronze crane in the political hall was smoking, and a dense aroma was wafting in the study. Baitang Wangchuan was sitting on the main seat of the political hall, listening attentively to the report of Lin Yi, the commander of the adjudication army. There were documents on the table in front of the main seat, and behind the main seat, there was the vast empire of the Great Shang Kingdom. Picture screen. Baitang Wangchuan was wearing the crown prince's four-clawed golden dragon bean suit and a crown on his head. The bean suit was worn by the crown prince when handling official duties. It was made of deer skin, with a golden shirt, white bottoms, belt, and leather. The waist bag, small ribbon, double pendant, and golden hook are both gorgeous and majestic, and have a royal domineering look. After many years of not seeing each other, Baitang Wangchuan has matured a lot, his eyes are sharper and deeper, and he has grown a beard on his mouth. The two thick black beards in the shape of a figure 8 make Baitang Wangchuan look even more majestic. Almost everyone in Beijing knows that Baitang Wangchuan is about to ascend the throne. Since 3 years ago, Baitang Zhao, the emperor of the Great Shang Kingdom, has been in seclusion. Almost all government affairs have been handled by Baitang Wangchuan, especially the appointment and dismissal of ministers in the court have been completely controlled by Baitang Wangchuan. Now almost the entire court is composed of people from Baitang Wangchuan. Previously, Baitang Wangchuan's bean robe was embroidered with a four-clawed python. Last year, Baitang Zhao officially gave Baitang Wangchuan a four-clawed golden dragon bean robe and a dolly gun crown in accordance with the royal etiquette of the Great Shang Kingdom. With all these signs, all indicate that Baitang Zhao is about to abdicate and become the supreme emperor and completely hide behind the scenes, while Baitang Wangchuan is about to officially become the emperor of the Great Shang Kingdom. The only thing that hasn't changed seems to be Lin Yi, the leader of the Judgment Army. Ji Yi always seems to have that calm look, the wrinkles on his face never increase or decrease, he always wears the same clothes, and his aura is always lukewarm. Even the people around Ji don't know how far has Ji's cultivation reached at this moment. In the political affairs hall, Lin Yi's gentle and mellow voice echoed. This voice only echoed in the room and could not be transmitted out. The secret arrangement in the political affairs hall has isolated all sounds here, which is to prevent people from outside peeping. According to the information obtained by the Judgment Army, after Xiaoping'an killed the three powerful demigods Zi Emotion, Hu Changling and Tianxia in that battle, he stayed alone in the outer sea of Majiazhu for 7 days, waiting for others' challenge, but in these 7 days, no one dared to accept the challenge. Then Xiaoping'an left through the air and appeared in the Blood Demon Palace. One man once again destroyed the newly rebuilt Blood Demon Palace, completely blood-bathed the Blood Demon Palace, and killed the corpses of the Blood Demon Palace. There is not a single living person left in the wilderness. Hearing this, Baitang Wangchuan was slightly shaken and shook his head slightly. I didn't expect that the Blood Demon sect would be like this. This time, the Blood Demon sect is completely finished. Lin Yi nodded. Yes, the Blood Demon sect is completely finished. In the battle at Majiazhu that day, Xiaoping'an, in addition to killing Zi Emotion, almost all the powerful masters of the Blood Demon sect above the Liu Yang realm were included in the army. It was destroyed and killed by Xiaoping'an. In addition, in order to find Xiaoping'an, the Blood Demon sect has lost many masters in the god-killing insect tribulation over the years. The original Blood Demon Palace was also destroyed once by the great sage of the orcs, and the vitality was great. Injured, Zi Emotion was severely injured by the mad god again. These changes happened one after another. If it were another sect, it had already declined. It was just because Zi Emotion was still there that it was still holding on. This time Zi Emotion was killed by Xiaoping'an, and his blood the demon cult will completely become history. According to the information collected by the Judgment Army from all continents, the blood demon cult is now in complete chaos and has turned into a ball of loose sand. The remaining small fish have already broken away. The blood demon sect, and the forces in various places that have been suppressed by the blood demon sect and the enemies of the blood demon sect have begun to hunt down and wipe out the remaining forces of the blood demon section. Then, after destroying the blood demon palace, where did Xiaoping'an go? Baitang Wangchuan asked. After destroying the Blood Demon Palace, Xiaoping'an seemed to have gone to the Black Demon Mountain where the god-killing insect was tribulation. Like, Baitang Wangchuan frowned slightly. He rarely heard such vague words from Ji Yi's mouth. Ahem, Your Highness, please forgive me. The situation in the god-killing insect realm is special. The information transmission from the Adjudication Army and the Great Shang Kingdom in the god-killing insect realm is not so timely. The information received from the god-slaying insect tribulation needs to be verified from other aspects. It will take time. We have just received this information and cannot verify it from other channels yet, so. There was a hint of embarrassment on Lin Yi's face. Okay, I understand, let's continue. What happened in the god-killing insect realm? Baitang Wangchuan nodded. The Black Demon Mountain in the god-killing insect realm is the headquarters of the Heavenly Evil Alliance. Of course, this information has never been confirmed. Xiaoping'an went to the Black Demonic Mountain and destroyed the headquarters of the Heavenly Evil Alliance. I heard that the Heavenly Evil Alliance suffered heavy casualties and was destroyed. Xiaoping'an was blood-bathed, and another demigod supreme protector of the Tianxia Alliance, Yin Ruhe, was also beheaded by Xiaoping'an in the Black Demon Mountain. Hiss. Baitang Wangchuan took a breath of cold air. Xiaoping'an once again killed a strong demigod from the Tianxia League. Didn't he even let the Tianxia League go? Yes, the only strong demigods in the Tianxia League are Tianxia, the leader of the Tianxia League, and Yin Ruhe, the supreme protector of the Tianxia League. These two are both veteran strong demigods and members of the Tianxia League. Pillar, once these two people die, even if the Tianxia Alliance can still exist in the future, I am afraid it will only be reduced to a third-rate force. Baitang Wangchuan nodded. I have heard before that the Tianxia Alliance and the ancient remnant forces colluded. This time Xiaoping'an destroyed the Black Demon Mountain and killed 2 demigods from the Tianxia Alliance. It is very satisfying. Such a traitor can't stay. Yes, many people dared not speak out against the Tianxia Alliance before. Even the demigods did not dare to offend the Tianxia Alliance easily. I didn't expect that Xiaoping'an would kill the 2 pillars of the Tianxia Alliance this time. The Tianxia Alliance, the alliance may follow in the footsteps of the Blood Demon cult in the future. Since both the Blood Demon Palace and the Black Demon Mountain have gone, will Xiaoping'an go to the Hu family next? Baitang Wangchuan asked. Yes, His Highness guessed it right. The exact news we received is that almost as soon as the war in Black Devil Mountain ended, Xiaoping'an almost appeared in Xuanhu city of the Hu family of the Divine Descendant family, destroying the mountain protecting formation inherited by the Hu family. Killing 4 hall masters and 5 elders of the Hu family, almost destroying most of Xuanhu city. In the end, the wife of the Hu family held her great-great-grandson who was only 3 months old and led more than 78,000 men, women, and children of the Hu family. They all knelt in front of Xiaoping'an, begged Xiaoping'an to spare the Hu family a way out, swore a blood oath and kowtowed to admit their mistake. The Hu family would be vassals of Xiaoping'an's descendants for generations to come, so Xiaoping'an let the Hu family go and left Xuanhu city. How magnificent! Baitang Wangchuan's blood boiled when he heard it, his eyes shone, and he couldn't help but clapped his hands and praised, the so-called grudges are nothing more than this. I heard before that the wife of the Hu family is not an ordinary person, no, thinking that this time he was able to save the Hu family when it collapsed, is he indeed a hero among women? The wife of the Hu family originally came from another divine family, and is no ordinary woman. This time, the demigod ancestor of the Hu family made a mistake and actually participated in the siege and killing of Xiaoping'an. She was avenged by Xiaoping'an. It brought disaster to the Hu family. I heard that the Hu family asked other divine families for help before, but no divine family came to help. This kind of thing can easily cause the fall of the strong demigods in the family. Any divine family, the whole family is afraid to avoid it, and this time it was the Hu family who made the mistake first, which is why this happened. Is Xiaoping'an really so powerful now? Baitang Wangchuan asked slightly absent-mindedly. No one dares to answer the reward order issued by the dominant demon god. Ji Yi nodded, that's true. Being able to kill 3 demigods in one battle has shocked the past and present. There have been very few demigods with such combat power. Today's Xiaoping'an should have reached the peak of demigods and is considered invincible. In this realm, no demigod can kill him. Even if someone can organize a bunch of demigods to surround him and make him invincible, but it can't stop him from escaping. Once he escapes, who can stop them from taking revenge one by one in the future? Because of this, Xiaoping'an made an appointment with the world outside Majiazhu and stayed for 7 days. No one dared to go, and Xiaoping'an also left a message in the Hu family. Whoever dares to plot against him and other sky-crossers in the future will definitely come to him and make those who dare to take action pay the price of blood, destroy their sect and destroy their family. Are you afraid? The Blood Demon sect, the Tianxia Alliance, and the Divine Family have destroyed the 3 major forces with one person's power. He is indeed qualified to say this. Baitang Wangchuan exhaled a long breath and said quietly, I didn't expect us back then. A small inspector of the Judgment Army has now reached such a state. He has actually advanced to the level of a demigod. He has an invincible appearance and dominates the world. It is really unimaginable. This demigod state is it so easy to achieve, alas. Baitang Wangchuan's last sigh was full of envy and an indescribable emotion. Baitang Wangchuan was also a summoner. As a summoner and the future emperor of the Great Shang Kingdom, he faced his old friend from back then. It is impossible to say that he has no thoughts and disappointments in his heart despite the fact that he has already become a demigod. This is why people are so irritating. Why did his father Huang Baitangzhao retreat into seclusion? Isn't it because he was still unable to stand at the peak of demigods, the world was full of demons, and the road to becoming a god was too rugged? Why he can't ascend the throne now is because he is not strong enough. If he could advance to the Nine Yang realm as soon as possible, Baitang Zhao would have passed the throne to him many years ago. Your Highness, there is no need to be envious. As a Skywalker, Xiaoping'an must have a big secret. If not, why would the Lord Demon God go to war for him? Such a person, who has experienced great hardships and has great luck, is rare to find in thousands of years. Ji Yi also shook his head. When I think of Xiaoping'an in our ruling army today, it feels like I'm in a dream. Baitang Wangchuan cheered up a little, and his voice suddenly became colder. By the way, is there any news about that person? Lin Yi knew who that person Baitang Wangchuan was talking about. In this palace, there was only one person who could not even be named, and that was Baitang Wangshan. Although this person escaped, he had always been Baitang Wangshan. Sichuan's serious problem. The last time that person appeared was in Xuanji continent a year ago. The teams of experts sent by the Judgment Army to hunt down that person have not received news about that person recently. Lin Yi lowered his head and answered. Don't relax. Keep sending more experts to find that person. I know that person will not be willing to fail and have to flee. He must be preparing something. Baitang Wangchuan frowned. Said. Yes. Where's Xiaoping'an? Is there any news about him now? Xiaoping'an's whereabouts have become a mystery in the past few days since he left the Hu family's Wanhu city. No one knows where he is. If he can still be of use to me. Baitang Wangchuan said to himself, but halfway through his words, he shook his head and did not say any more. Today's Xiaoping'an is no longer the original Xiaoping'an. The invincible demigod cannot be driven by him. Even if his father faces Xiaoping'an again, he will probably have to be more respectful, because in the world of demigods, strength is respected, so what qualifications and abilities does he have to let him down? Such a demigod listens to him. Regarding Baitang Wangchuan's self-talk, Ji Yi seemed not to hear it and did not speak. By the way, where is Cao? Baitang Wangchuan suddenly remembered something. Her Royal Highness the Princess went to Zhougong Tower again. Oh, this girl. Baitang Wangchuan also shook his head helplessly. At the same time, go to the capital city. Xiaoping'an, who was wearing a black windbreaker and holding an oil paper umbrella, walked calmly in the drizzly city. There was a lot of traffic around him, and the wheels of the speeding carriage were turning, crushing the water on the ground. Pedestrians holding umbrellas and wearing raincoats walked in a hurry, and no one looked at him twice. Xiaoping'an was walking in the rain. He didn't know why he came to this place again, but he came here out of nowhere. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 850. Even a demigod must make a lot of preparations before entering the realm of the gods. The most important preparation is that Xiaoping'an learned from Mr. Jing and the senior bronze man that it is best not to have regrets or worries. You must face entering the realm of the gods as if you were reincarnated, because no one knows whether you can come back after entering the realm of the gods, become immortal, or be completely submerged in that mysterious and vast world from now on. Silent. Xiaoping'an didn't know either. The Blood Demon sect and the Hu family were all solved, and the Tianxia alliance suffered heavy losses. The majesty of the heads of 4 powerful demigods and the bones and blood of countless high-level summoners shocked the entire Yuan-Kai world, and had a profound impact on Yuan-Kai. The world's summoners and various forces will probably tremble when they encounter something related to the Skywalkers in the future, and they will not dare to easily hunt the Skywalkers as prey. Xiaoping'an's intention to enter the gods' domain this time was to enter in secret, without making any announcement, and not many people would know about it. In this case, his existence is a powerful deterrent to everyone, and it is also the ultimate threat to all partners in the Sky Mending project. Strong protection. Therefore, Even if Xiaopingan is walking in Shangjing City where he escaped back then with his true appearance, he is not worried. Even if someone can recognize him, no one will dare to trouble him again. Once the strength is reached, everything will return to how it should be. In the drizzle, hurried pedestrians passed by Xiaopingan from time to time. Occasionally, some people glanced at Xiaopingan's calm face, but those people did not expect that the person in front of them was holding an oil paper umbrella. The person walking in the rain is the terrifying and powerful man who makes the entire Yuankai world tremble at this moment. Why come to Beijing? Because there is still concern in my heart. There was someone here that he couldn't let go of, and Xiaopingan wanted to meet him one last time before leaving. Xiaopingan didn't know what to say. Maybe he just wanted to have a quiet look. In addition to Cao, there are two faces that have also appeared in Xiaopingan's mind from time to time during this period. One of them is Shulongzi, and the other is Mingruolan. Shulongzi and he have experienced life and death, and Mingruolan Ian's relationship with him was even more unusual at the moment, and she was already pregnant with his child. After walking through several puddles on the roadside, Xiaopingan's trousers were already a little damp. The breeze blew into his face with cool raindrops, making the self-deprecating smile on Xiaopingan's face stand out. Perhaps, I was not a devoted and affectionate person in the first place. Only at this last moment did I realize that I am also an ordinary person, no different from ordinary men. I care about more than one woman. Is this considered a violation of feelings? Betrayal? Is that considered shameless? Xiaopingan thought mockingly. Sometimes, the closer you get to God, the more clearly you can see your mortal side. The God of Fortune Boy had been released by Xiaopingan a long time ago and was wandering around happily in the capital city. The whereabouts of Cao at this moment had already fallen into Xiaopingan's eyes. Kaoko is at Zhougong Tower at the moment. Under Xiaopingan's distant view, Cao in Zhougong Tower seemed to be right in front of him. We haven't seen each other for many years, and Cao is still exactly the same as before. Her beautiful and flawless face carries the purity and cunning of a girl, with almost no change at all. She is wearing a green dress, with a smart double snail bun on her head, and she is sitting behind the table in the outer hall of Zhougong building. He put his hands on the table, supporting his cheeks, staring at a pair of big shining beautiful eyes, looking at the rainy street outside Zhougong building in a daze. The layout of Zhougong building was still exactly the same as when he left, without any change at all. The maids around Cao have not changed. Near the Duke of Zhou Tower, several royal guards are hiding in the dark, guarding Cao's safety. At this moment, a black four-wheeled carriage stopped outside the Zhougong building, and then a middle-aged man with a big belly and a beard got out of the car, looked at the Zhougong building twice, and then walked in resolutely. The maid at the door saw the man and rushed to greet him. "Sir, are you here to interpret dreams?" The man smiled and said gruffly, "Of course you're here to interpret dreams. We charge 100 gold coins for interpreting a dream here." "That's a fair price," the maid said. "It's just a small amount of money." A nouveau-riche smile appeared on the man's face. "Okay, sir, please come with me." The maid led the man towards the outer hall. While in a daze, Cao saw the maid bringing this man in. Before the man could speak, Cao stood up with his eyes wide open, angrily picked up the book on the table and threw it at the bearded man. "Liar, big liar, come to fool me again. Who on this rainy day would inexplicably take 100 gold coins to find a dream interpreter who can't interpret dreams to interpret dreams? You big liars, I still remember you. It was you last time you pretended to be an old man to interpret dreams, and you praised me for my good interpretation. I still remember that there was a red mole the size of a sesame seed under your ear. This time you came in a different look, and all the guests here were scared away by you. Already." The man became embarrassed. He didn't expect that he would be exposed as soon as he appeared on the stage, and he would not be able to perform the rest of the scene. Get out of here. If you lie to me again, I will ask my brother to send you to guard a deserted island in the sea. You will not be allowed to return to the capital for 100 years. Cao bared his teeth like an angry little tiger. The man was startled and did not dare to argue. He just gave a hasty salute, then went out in a panic, got back on the carriage, and quickly got out of the way. The maid was so frightened that she stuck out her tongue and quickly retreated. Really, I'm not a child, you keep using these things to fool me, don't you bother me. He stamped his feet hastily, sat down with an aggrieved look, then held his cheeks in his hands and started to be in a daze, in his eyes, but full of loneliness and longing. After someone left here to go to the capital, Zhougonglu became Cao's favorite place. On the same street, in a restaurant more than 200 meters away from Zhougong Tower, the shopkeeper of the restaurant leaned against the window on the second floor, slightly opened a corner of the curtain, and squinted as the carriage at the door of Zhougong Tower disappeared behind him. In front of his eyes, the shopkeeper was holding a writing brush in his hand and was drawing on a piece of paper, writing a series of incomprehensible symbols. After writing those things, the shopkeeper crumpled the piece of paper into a ball and stuffed it into a broken bone. Then he went to the back kitchen and threw the broken bone into the swill in the back kitchen. It could no longer be seen from the outside. A little unusual. A few minutes later, in the drizzle, an old man led an old horse and pulled a carriage full of greasy dirt and smelling rancid from the back alley. He came to the back door of the restaurant and collected the swill. And then slowly walked towards another place where swill could be collected. Just over 20 minutes later, the paper ball with a large number of incomprehensible rich people was already placed in the secret room of a dyeing workshop 2 kilometers away from Zhougong Tower. There were 2 people in the secret room. One of them had messy hair and was wearing the clothes of a workshop worker, and the other was the boss of the workshop with a fair face and a slightly fat body. The man in the clothes of a workshop worker looked at the mess on the paper ball carefully. Symbols while interpreting them. Princess Xuanhuan is still in the Zhougong Tower. There are no changes in the guards around the Zhougong Tower. 3-5 Sun Realm Royal Guards are hidden on both sides of the Zhougong Tower and in the back hall. There is also an 8 Sun Realm enshrinement hidden 5 miles away from the Zhougong Tower. The street corner more than 10 meters away. Xiaopinggan will definitely come to Baitang Wanzhou. My intuition is very accurate and will never be wrong. As long as we control Baitang Wanzhou, it is possible to make Xiaopinggan surrender and drag Xiaopinggan step by step. In our trap, the only way to deal with Xiaopinggan now is to outsmart him, the boss of the workshop said coldly, his tone full of the aura of a superior. Today is the best time to act, just follow the plan. Now every second of delay, Xiaopinggan may appear in Shangjing City at any time, and if Cao is still in the palace by then, we will have no chance. The man wearing the clothes of a workshop worker hesitated a little. There is only one chance. To hold back the 8 Yang Realm enshrinement, we have to make a big sacrifice. We have been preparing for the capital city for 2 years. If we want to do something big, someone has to sacrifice, so prepare to take action. The boss of the workshop said firmly. He looked in the direction of the palace, his eyes full of viciousness. Beijing Tang Wang Chuan, you will never imagine what kind of gift I will prepare for you. While the 2 people in the secret room were discussing, Xiaopinggan, holding an umbrella, had calmly arrived outside the dyeing workshop. He raised his head and glanced at the name hanging outside the dyeing workshop, Shuntian Cloth Workshop, shook his head and smiled, put away his umbrella and walked to the workshop. When people in the workshop saw a stranger coming in, a waiter came immediately, walked up to Xiaopinggan, looked Xiaopinggan up and down. Who are you looking for? Xiaopinggan smiled, but without seeing what he did, the workshop door behind him closed automatically with a bang. I heard that your boss is looking for me, so I'm here.